Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first year-end presentation of this cycle. I'm Rosa Cavalla, and I'm the community manager and education coordinator at PhMuseum. And today we are very happy to start showing you the works that were developed during this year. And particularly today we have the participants from FOLIO, which is the masterclass on Photobook-Making, this year led by Nicolas Polli, which is a photographer, a graphic designer, and founder of the publishing house Ciao Press. So I really welcome everyone to go through all the presentations today to check what were the photo book dummies that the participants developed during 8 months together during this online masterclass. And I don't want to take too much time, and I just leave Nicolas to say a couple of words, and then we will go through each presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosa. Thanks a lot, PhMuseum, for everything. And mostly thanks to you guys that participated to this. For me, it was the first time experiencing a year-long, more or less, masterclass online. So it was the first time to deal with photo books online. And I was quite scared at the beginning that I couldn't help as much as I would have loved to. But after the experience, I'm really happy because I see how you can learn also not only from the different lecture we had, but also from the different people that participated. And yeah, I'm really excited of how the different question came during the year that developed and became more and more professionalized, I would say. So I'm really excited. I'm really happy to see also the results. I know that these last months for you have been probably quite stressful. I looked from far in the WhatsApp group how much conversation you had, so that was quite exciting. And so yeah, I'm really looking forward because I'm sure that I'm gonna be mind blown by your works. So thanks again, and I think that if for you, Rosa, is okay, we can start.
Sure. Thank you, Nicolas. So now we have the first participant is Kate van der Drift. So Kate, the stage is yours.
Hi, everyone. I'm just going to share my screen. I'd just love to say a big thanks to Rosa and Nicolas. It's been a great experience, and the cohort particularly has been really amazing. We've had some informal discussions too, and the book wouldn't have got to the place that it is at without you guys. So I'll just start. Can you guys see that okay?
Yep.
I can't see you. So I'll just start by reading the abstract that I've put on the back of the book. This might still change, but I've put that there for the moment. Necessary Failing and Iterations is a process-led artist book that brings together 4 years of cameraless photographic work made in and around a wetland ecosystem in the Hauraki Plains in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Central to the project are river exposures, sheets of photographic film submerged in tributaries of the Piako River and developed without exposure to light. Through this process, bacteria, sediment, pollutants, and water chemistry act directly with the emulsion, producing images that are less representations than inscriptions, recordings of contact between material forces and the river's vitality. Instead of focusing on finished artworks, the book draws from a wider ecology of the practice. Test prints, failed exposures, damaged negatives, and notebook fragments. These materials reveal the unstable, iterative nature of analog processes, within an experimental photographic practice. Situated within a landscape shaped by colonization, drainage, and agricultural intensification, the project reflects on how we might work more attentively with the more than human world. It's a project that's about a specific place, but also an example of a broader environment of transformation. The book holds failure and uncertainty as generative and offers an expanded and materially grounded account of how the work came into being. So I didn't have a clear direction at all when I started the program, and I knew I wanted to make a book with some of the river exposures that I made between the period of 2019 and 2022. So I pulled boxes out of my studio archive and pulled them all out and put them on the floor. It was a massive failed experiments, prints, negatives, and notebooks. Things that I'd kept, but I wasn't really sure why I'd kept them. I realized the sheer material life of this project and its messiness and aliveness was a true representation of my practice compared to the gallery-ready images I'd previously shown. I thought a more interesting presentation could be a lot of the work that remains unseen. This is my studio 5 weeks ago, on the 21st of March. I just checked the timestamp on it. And then we'll fast forward to a couple of weeks ago, where I digitized most of those pages, notebook pages, and started to sequence them on the studio wall. Because I'm obviously more of a analog person. And yeah, I just found it far easier to kind of have the objects in front of me. These then got stuck together and formed this mass, this pile of images, which I spent some time with flipping through. And so now, oh yeah, and there's some pages of it. Now I can go through a bit of a video preview of the sequence of the PDF so that you can get a sense of the rhythm. And I'll talk through a few of the physical details of the book. The sequence moves between 3 main elements that are separated into chapters with different paper stocks. The image details, these ones, allow a close, immersive looking where you can start to see the microbial and sedimentary structures. Then there's these notebook pages which carry process and thinking and experimentation. And then there's some full plates which create pauses. Ideally, they'd have a varnish over them, and they also help within the transition of the different chapters with the different paper stocks. And then at the end is an index and bibliography at a slightly smaller size. All of the design decisions have been based on the notebook as a base structure. So the size of the book is based on the notebook being 1-to-1, and that's because I want all of the negatives and contact prints to be 1-to-1, so they're the same size reproductions. So that makes the size of the book 210 by 300 millimeters. There are a few other details that I'd love to test and try, like having a ribbon and potentially using a sticker on the cover, replicating the masking tape that I use to label everything. It's soft cover to avoid any extra boundaries or borders, and with a dust jacket. There's a loose chromatic progression across the book as well. It moves from close-up details that are more cosmic to estuarine, bodily, and then into pastels and back into sedimentary. And lastly, the title, Necessary Failing and Iterations. It comes from recognizing that failure was never separate from the work, that failure was part of the method, and that many of the images were made through inconsistencies, leaks, microbial action, sediment from land runoff, fingerprints, and the book acknowledges this. But also, failure here isn't just technical, it's structural. It reflects the limits of representation itself. There's also a complication in authorship because the river is an active agent. The images are co-produced through chemical, microbial, and environmental processes that sit far outside of my control. This project that from the initial making of the work changed how I understand my role as an image maker, and it's impacted subsequent projects to less someone who produces representations and more as someone who creates conditions for something else to emerge. And that's the end. Thank you, everyone.
Congratulations. Wow. No, it's I feel it's way more concrete. Already last time that we discussed, the work was in it was in the right road, like it was in the right rails and everything. And seeing today also how you show the process, how you speak about the work, this book has quite a strong potential. It shows really well your work is generous. Makes me really want to read into the notes, to read into the elements, and you can use it really as a way also of hiding or placing little thought or elements you want to share. I really feel that the final maquette has to stay rough as possible. I like this idea of when you showed, for example, at one point, the process of putting all the pages that you had in the wall all together. You used also this blue tape to keep everything together. I think that this energy, you said it at one point, of you being material and needing to be physical. It transpired in the maquette that we saw, and I think that is genuinely what is needed for this project. So I'm really happy that you went in this direction, and I'm really looking forward to see the final book in October.
Thank you, Kate. I have a quick question. I was just curious to know how was your feeling to go to develop a product as a book that is somehow putting some order in all your research, because I mean it's amazing what we saw in your studio with all these images on the wall, on the floor. So I was just I was curious to know how was the process for you to have all this huge amount of materials and to understand how to go through the whole process and to select the images and to go to reach the final shape of the book.
Well, it kind of feels unending. Like if I had more time, I probably would just, I found so much that I'd forgotten that was in the archive as well. And I'm really looking forward to going and printing some of those images too. There are a lot of negatives. So yeah, we had a time limit for this, which is great for me, but it feels like it's kind of, I could spend this time again developing it with more of that material. It kind of just feels like the start, but it's been a beautiful process of kind of thinking about working with material in different ways. So I feel really thankful for that because I think it's going to change the trajectory of my practice.
Okay, thank you very much. Nice.
I also have a last question, because from what I understood or I remember, and tell me if I'm wrong, this is the first time you do a book. Is it correct? Is
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is it something that would you say that creating the book, I mean, you say now that maybe might change the trajectory of your project, but do you feel like in the future when starting something, would you consider the book also as a way to control a little bit what you're doing or trying to reconnect somehow some thinking already with a form that has some structure.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think it will be in my mind now when I'm making, say, the next body of work to be kind of documenting the process in a way, probably just keeping it in the back of my mind to the way that it could be formed into a book. I really had no idea before I started this program, like how it could work. So, yeah, I feel like I've got a lot more understanding for the future. Yeah, I think I will make another one after this one and sometime, maybe 10 years' time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kate. Now we have Julia Bohle.
One second, let me share the screen. All right, can you see this okay?
Yep.
And hear me well? Okay, great. Yeah, also from my side, thank you so much, Nicolas. Thank you, Rosa, and the masterclass group. Yeah, it's been a really great experience and really happy to show my project today. Okay. Sorry, so obvious. Let me. Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, my project, which is called This Place Was a Desert. And yeah, so I started this project like 1 year ago when I moved to Australia. So pretty much at the same time also when the masterclass started. So it was a really great way to directly engage with the material gathered. And so this project is research project which deals with the site-specific practice within photography and the artist book and looks at how a place can be visualized through photography and through the artist book, looking at materiality, the sequence. So it's really about the essence of the place and how to communicate that through photography and the book format. So I firstly wanted to go to some of the photographic images I've been taking, as they're also like the core structure of my dummy book. And so this project is situated in rural Australia. So I did 2 field trips to that area, which was for me, kind of like an exploration of that place as well, really first encountering and really moving between like inside spaces, but then also the vastness of the desert, the roughness of that place. And a really important element for my work is like walking through this site. So really this active movement of walking and experiences those landscapes with my camera was a really important element also for my book work in terms of rhythm. So this kind of monotony of walking, but then also these moments of disruption and confrontation I felt being there, and this kind of working with a more staged photography in that way, this more staged visual elements to tell the story. And then those experiences in that place of really being so close to death and life at the same time, it was really interesting. I was trying to capture, and these moments of just like decay and traces of human but also nature, so really this edge of habitations as well. And also photographing at night, so walking at night as well was a huge part, and really moving between light and darkness, brightness, and so these are some of the images. Just to give you a little overview, so these are kind of like the core structure of that book work, and some are more abstract, some are more detailed. So yes, with those red interruptions. But then additional to that, so this is still like a really work in progress. And so on top of the photographic images, I also did this material study. So really seeing the landscape as well as a collaborator and less as a representation, but really working with it and taking, working with found footage I found in shops around, or working with photosensitive paper and let the landscape react on it as another material layer on that. And yeah, I think it was for me really difficult as well to navigate through these different materials as well. So this kind of like found footage, experiments, as well as the photography. Yeah. And just some notes, yeah, which I might already mention. So with all of this material, which is still like, yeah, very much in progress for me, it was important for this book to really become an exploration as well. So an exploration and a sense of the place, to really like experience that place through the book, and looking at trace and memory and how the paper itself can become a trace for memory, working with images and the after image, and also let the sequence become guided by the walking I've done. So, and moving between the stillness, but also this disrupted moments of confrontation and certain discomfort. Yeah, and moving between the darkness of the night, the brightness of the day, and this contradiction between snapshot and long exposure. Yeah, and really this also this feeling of traveling back in time in a way, and moving between old and new, and found objects, and a new interpretation of those things I've encountered. Yes, so, and to come to the layout, so I decided for a more minimalist layout to let the image speak itself, and to work with those white space around to create or underline this vastness of the place. And you can see slightly like this after image. So this is like the thin paper. I also have some like material studies in the end, but yeah, to really work with this kind of like ghost image and with the paper to create this trace. Yeah, this is another example. But then having this moments of full spread image to have more this feeling of immersion and collision in a way. Yes, so balancing between these two, and this moments of disruptions, including these material studies, which are supposed to be kind of like inlays, so they, or inserts, so they can be taken out. So there's a certain element of active engagement with the book, which I've found quite important as well. And working with some of my field notes, which are also able to take out, so as inserts and a different paper. And this is a full spread of the layout I've been working on so far. And it's been really, yeah, it's been, I found it really difficult to really find the right sequence. Yeah, it was important to me to have this kind of flow in a way, this rhythm, this feeling of walking, but then this moments of disruptions, this moment of confrontation, but using like also using the colors like that they kind of have a certain focus. So yeah, and this kind of frame between the cover, the color of the cover, and then this red image, yeah, like within the storyline, and working really with the lightness and the darkness of the photographic image itself, and with the motives as well, and the found footage or the material studies. Yes, and this is just a little overview. So yeah, I found also really yeah, I found it like to find the right size for the book, something like not too small so that the images can still breathe, but not too large so it can still be an object you can have in your hands. And yeah, also thinking of a soft cover to keep this kind of flexibility within the book as well. And yeah, so the inlays papers, like I was thinking of an extra rough paper and yeah, like thinner GSM to really have this kind of translucency within the image. Yes, and the Japanese step binding. So these are just some yeah, ideas, and I also made some dummy books, some mock-ups. So here you can also see the front cover image is stitched on the cover, and on the back side you can see those stitches. So again, this is this element of trace of memory in a way incorporated within yeah, within the book, yes. And then yeah, having these moments of the inlays of the material studies, and you can slightly see this ghost image. Yeah, this is just a flip through, just an idea of yeah, the fluency of the book, and yeah, just some process works behind the scenes in a way of yeah, looking at different fabrics for the cover, looking at the size, looking at different inlays, materials, yeah, so, and the stitching. Yeah, so these are just some behind the scenes, and yeah, printing the larger red images and text image, yeah, and the yeah, the inlays, and yeah, that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Julia. Congratulations as well. I feel that the book, like the last time we discussed, there was an idea of transforming it also in an experience with this idea of the box and so on. I feel by what I see today that the book works really well also without this experience. So the book as an object, but with these inlaid elements, I'm imagining also a different materiality, this feeling of the cover. There are so many different elements that scream for attention, and at the same time you have this cleanness of the images, super small. Works really well. If I can suggest something, is to explore even more this idea of change of size of the images. For the moment, I have the feeling that you could explore to have a couple more wider images, but because I think that the hierarchy between the images works really well. And also, I'm curious to understand in the future if there is more interest to put more archival material or not, and so on. How to work with that. But for what you have done, again as well. As for Kate, I think that is one of those books that I really want to feel in my hand and understand how it feels. I would still love to understand if you are considering printing it maybe in Riso or something, like where also the printing materiality kind of plays an advantage for the material and for the images themselves. And yeah, thank you so much for your amazing work.
Thank you.
Rosa, you have a question?
Yeah, sorry, I was mute. No question, but just a comment. Yeah, I agree with what Nico said, and I was also imagining how you can go through the book as a whole path, because for what you told about your project, I thought like if the viewer could experience this work and get an idea of this working performance. So yeah, I like to see also how you thought about the paper, but I agree also with Nicolas that maybe risograph can be a nice way to give more materiality bring it more materiality to the object itself, since while working you find many elements, and I think that these kind of materials that you find during this kind of formative walking. It can be also translated into the pages of the book, not only with the images, but also talking about the materials themselves, so different papers, a different way to print them, and since you have also the inlays, I mean the part that you take out from there, from the book, I saw that you were thinking about a different materials, a different paper for that, but yeah, it's just a comment to dig more into that and to know also what are your feelings about this.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, no, I'm definitely like, since like this work is like feels still so like it's shifting all the time, like more material is coming. But yeah, like the printing definitely will be really important, like, and see if there's maybe different printing techniques with like the core structure and then the inlays. Yeah, so yeah, it's definitely really interesting to think about that.
And it's really, I think the comments of Rosa is really intriguing in this idea. Like, if you look, it's true that if you look at the images as a path, like the point of view of the images, how the different element comes one after the other, it becomes also interesting. They become really interesting. And I feel then the archive could become really almost like a transition between like a situation and the other. You spoke about the night, the dark night and bright day, and these elements. I think like you have all your ingredients for transforming it in a great book. So yeah, again, I'm just looking forward to see it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Julia.
Thank you.
Now it's the turn of Stefanie Langenhoven. I hope I pronounced well the surname.
That was perfect. Okay. Just share my screen. Okay. Can see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. I also just want to say thank you so much to Rosa and Nicolas. It's been such an incredible journey and it's been so transformative. So I'm just so thrilled with the whole experience, and thank you to everyone else as well. Okay, my project, I Do Not Want to Become My Mother, explores the complex relationships between mothers and daughters, reflecting on societal expectations and limitations placed on women. My process makes use of family archival photos, self-portraiture, and vintage magazines. When I thought about the title for the book, I Do Not Want to Become My Mother, I was thinking about a feeling that a lot of women can relate to, especially as we get older and after having children. A lot of women catch themselves saying, "Oh no, I just sounded like my mother. I hope I'm not turning into her." So that was the beginning of the book for me, exploring this title and the feeling behind it. In my research for this project, I was looking through archival family photos. I noticed a lot of images of my mom that my dad took of her. Looking at them, I could remember how I felt as a child in some of those situations, and it wasn't always the way it seemed in the photograph. That gave me the idea. I wonder what it would be like to become my mother and see what she actually felt like behind those images. I realized a large portion of what I remember of my mother is during her depression. I remember that she started seeing a psychiatrist and was prescribed medication. One moment from my childhood that stays with me. We went to do shopping, and at the grocery store, she gripped the steering wheel after parking and told us, "We can't get out, the crocodiles will bite us." At first, we found it humorous, but it was actually very unsettling. Crocodiles became one of the central themes in the project because they present my fear of turning into my mother, especially the fear of falling into a similar kind of depression. One perspective I really appreciated that Nicolas pointed out to me was that the images felt to him like the point of view of a child. That wasn't something I was fully aware of, and it brought another dimension to the work. That's why I really like this quote: "Pretty much all the honest truth-telling there is in the world is done by children." The playfulness of the work became more apparent to me, especially in images like this, that capture the humor or the satire in the work. but at the same time, the undertone is quite palpable. Initially, I looked at the family photo album as an idea for the book, working with constructed images of myself alongside the archive images. I like the idea that it was sometimes unclear when you are looking at the archive or when are you looking at the constructed image. But then Nicolas suggested in one of the sessions that I start thinking about bringing in more of my mom's perspective and the world she lived in. That gave me the idea of including vintage magazines in the book. At first, I wasn't sure how I would do this. It felt like I had to find a way to integrate the magazines and the archives and the photos I created. Then I started to see some uncanny resemblances between the images, especially in terms of color and how they communicate with each other, which inspired me to go into this new direction with the work. I noticed details like the similarity in the way the baby is held in the advert and the archive image, and the color of the baby's baby grow being so similar to the color in the lantern. Here, the baby in the advert looks almost like the baby in the pram, even though that baby is a doll. So I've actually got two options for the cover because I couldn't decide. So option one, I'll just talk about the technical details. So I've decided on a hardcover. I think it kind of works for the theme of the work. And it will be printed on mustard enrose cotton fabric, screen printed in a single color to create this paisley pattern. My title and the name will be single gold foil debossed, and the book will have a rounded spine with case binding. And you can see the back and the front cover and how the title, I Do Not Want to Become a Mother, spreads across the front and the back cover. Again, in option two, I thought about a 4-color silk screen with the same sort of hardcover. And then my name and the title will be printed on the inside when you open the book. This is a sequence overview, just to sort of see the flow of the book. And then here I did some proof printing this morning, actually. So the book will have 235 pages. It will be printed digitally on Arena Natural White, 170-gram paper, which is have a slight warmer tone, which I think really complements the images. It is an uncoated paper, but it will be digital print, so the print actually looks a little bit glossy. There will be text on the last 2 pages, which will have some of my personal reflections on the project, and the book will be an A4 size. In this last part, I would like to show some pages from the book while I share some reflections. I've included a few pages in the book with the family album pages as background to still keep a connection to the family album in the book. I used vintage images from cookbooks quite frequently, as meal preparation plays and used to play such a big role in a woman's life, especially as she was seen as the main caregiver and housemaker. Religion played a big part in my upbringing. I remember as a child feeling there was a big contrast between what my mom taught me about the life and teachings of Jesus and what it felt like going to church, and how women have been seen and treated in the church. My mom also told me stories of how their uncle, who was a pastor, sexually assaulted her sister and mistreated women in general. I realized that what happens between mothers and daughters is often a reflection of the broader societal context. The way women are valued, the roles they're expected to fulfill, and the dreams they're discouraged from pursuing. My mother was expected to carry this generational trauma, and often she was made to feel silenced. She simply had to acquiesce to what was expected of her. We spend our childhood watching our moms, soaking in how she thinks, how she feels, how she behaves, and particularly how she feels about herself. And by working with my mom and involving her in the process, I'm slowly uncovering the complexities of our bond and the ways in which our experiences are intertwined. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Stefanie. It's wow, what a journey. Like it's crazy to see what you arrived to do. Last time that we spoke, you had ideas, we saw an editing and everything, but I think that you did exactly what I suggested, and you did it extraordinarily well. It's way bolder, it's screaming, but at the same time, it's hiding elements. I want to know more. There is so many things that are happening in the book right now, and it's feeling really exciting. Um, Cover-wise, like if I can give a few last comments, I feel aesthetically the second one that you proposed is the best. It's way more, it's something that is unexpected. If I see it on a table, I will take it immediately. But at the same time, what you did with this like we discussed already about the writing in one of the session about becoming my mother, not wanting like separated in the cover and back cover. I think that if you, I still like that as an idea. So maybe you can create a sort of connection between the two. Um, Last point I wanted to do is a relation of the paper. I mean, it's a little detail, but I feel that 170 for a book like this will be way thicker, way too thick.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
go with a paper that is lighter, 130, 150. But it's just a detail, and you could just try and see what it gives. But thank you really for sharing this. And last point I wanted to do. I think that the story you are telling, for example, about your uncle and so on right now, this should be part of the book somehow. Like I
Yeah.
feel that those elements that I'm discovering or I don't know if we ever spoke about it, but I'm discovering it now. Also, the story of the crocodile that this was mentioned before. I think those stories somehow have to enter in the book, and maybe in form of smaller story that can be separated in the book. But I think that they could create a nice tension and an understanding of the pages.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Hi, Stephanie. I was first, I wanted to comment about the cover, and Nicolas took my words. So now I had to comment something else. No, I really liked the second option also because also it takes conceptually all these images of these archive images that you have inside. So it almost I mean, it make the viewer getting curious because it can be almost a curious recipes book. But
Yes.
then when you start browsing it is another thing, and you delve into the story. And so yeah, this is my comment. And on the other hand, I would like to know how was for you to delve with such a personal topic, and if you had any comment from your family about this.
Yes, it was interesting. I mean, there were times where it's quite tough to sort of be so vulnerable with it. I've spoken to my mom loves it because she's been working with me. I spoke to my dad, and he's a bit like some of it he's a bit like uncomfortable with, but he's not. He's very, very supportive and encouraging, and overall, it's very supportive because also my cousin is involved and my aunt is involved. So it's quite a family thing at the moment. So yeah, so I'm very happy for all the support. But it is like, I think I do feel it's interesting because it's self-portraits, but it's, it's very emotional, and family history and using archives it does make one feel quite vulnerable. But I think it's just to see it as like something that will speak to other women and to other people. I think it's important to do work like this. Yeah.
And that's great to hear that they were supportive, even if being, on the side of the story. And yeah, that's always good to hear. And I'm happy that you could experience this. So thank you very much, Stephanie.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. Who is next?
We have Yvette Monahan.
Yvette.
Hiya. So I'll start sharing. Hopefully this will work. Can you see that okay?
Yes.
And I'll just see if it scrolls. Did that scroll?
Yeah, it's working.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, same thing. I just wanted to say thanks so much to everyone for the last 8 months. It's gone by really quickly. And I kind of realized, I suppose, I've arrived at a certain point through the bookmaking, but I'm definitely not at the kind of end point. But I learned a lot of things along the way. So I feel like I kind of had to go backwards to go forwards again. I kind of lost myself in the whole process, I suppose, because this has been going on for so long. So I just wanted to take you through kind of how I came to the thinking of the book currently as it stands. And this came from like the interesting thing of making a dummy where it just didn't work. And I realized I kind of lost the energy of the project. And so I had to really revisit that myself. So yeah, I'll just kind of start back at this idea of the iterative process. So kind of, as you know, I've started this project called Unfolding in Simple Eternities, and it started from a very personal experience that I didn't understand at the time, but it was particularly around the birth of my daughter, and I had read somewhere that birth is sometimes seen as a cosmic event. So it was this feeling of connection across time and space, and I felt something had been drawn towards me, but I didn't have the language for it. So the work started as a way of staying with that feeling and making it tangible rather than trying to explain it. And I think this is how I've got to where I am with the book. I became interested in pattern, repetition, and trace, and how meaning might exist before language. This process has been led by process and intuition and materiality rather than representation. I began to look at others to help mirror or recognize this experience. I was drawn to other artists working with repetition and abstraction, especially where grids or marks, working with grids or marks that felt closer to sound than image. The circles and spirals were a way of thinking through life, birth, and the connection to motherhood, but also circles not just as a way of observing, but of participating in a cosmic motion. At the beginning, I was working across photography, drawing, and mark making, trying to register something that felt tangible out of the intangible. And over time, certain forms began to repeat: spirals, grids, circles. And I kind of realized that I was building a visual language around this experience, almost like a way to learn to listen as a methodology. Like kind of, I suppose I saw myself as a kind of a radio tuning into a different place. This work moves across scales, from body to microscopic textures to something more cosmic, but all of it related through rhythm and pattern. So listening became the methodology, listening through landscape, memory, and deep time, rather than looking. It's really listening for a continuous pulse that runs through all things. References came through the process from cosmology, natural history, Zen Buddhism, physics, and spirituality. These became the guiding voices to help me understand what I was doing, or at least where I was kind of trying to go. But I was worried about putting text beside the images, as I didn't want to risk fixing the meaning too much to the images. So for the book, I've been reducing and filtering the texts, keeping just fragments that would sit alongside the images rather than explain them. But in the process of placing them in the book, and I only realized this kind of 2 days ago, I've realized that this text must come from myself. So I've made a start with the introduction, but it's a slow process of writing from the inside of those texts out what they allowed me to understand or to feel. So coming to the book itself, I realized that the book was a way that a form that could hold this felt experience, because the meaning really sits in the sequencing on how the pages unfold over time. I've designed a top opening book. Really, I was influenced by the Ram Dass book that's on the right there, that was created in the 70s, called Remember, Be Here Now. But I felt the experience of going through that book aligned with what I wanted the experience of the book to be. Also, this orientation allows the viewer to enter a different space, hopefully, more aligned with this idea of going inward and returning, a more contained reflective movement. And here are some other books as well that kind of allowed me to think about kind of physically how I wanted to make the book, along with the text. So yeah, I've done a good few iterations along the way. The one on the left was kind of the failing one. And then I got one back just this morning that wasn't bound, but it just allowed me to kind of even have the loose pages to play with. So I just have a few images from this, and then I'll take you through kind of the PDF of the book itself. So the top opening, again, I just need to research more into the colored papers, but just introducing a gold paper. And these symbols at the moment reference the text that's currently in this book, but I suppose, again, they'll probably become a bit redundant. But to create a rhythm through it, and some of the text, I will keep it, but just in different ways. Alongside the book, I'd like to develop a smaller booklet or even loose leaves pages that would hold notes, sketches, and fragments, more like a working space around the images. I'd like this to be a container of ongoing thinking, a record of the attention held for the making of the work, where these different voices sit alongside each other. So personal, scientific, historical, and spiritual. I'd like to keep it separate to allow the main book to remain an experience while the smaller book holds the thinking around it. So here is just to take you through the book to give you an idea. So this is the cover. I'd like to have it as a kind of a something that has a bit of give in it. So that, touching it's an experience. So whether that's a piece of foam under the paper cover with a hard board. And then entering into the book, I suppose the only thing I'll read is just this one bit of text that I've kind of started with the writing. The universe is made up of atoms, but understood through stories. But how to tell a story that is unseen? I am reaching out for interstellar conversations across time and space, searching for a language for the unknown, nameless and formless, about to be birthed, but already felt. I must turn inward, not as withdrawal, but as gathering. I must return, go round, go inward, go yinward. So let's begin. Now, some of that text is referential to Ursula Le Guin's essay, The Carrier Bag Theory of Fiction, which really influenced this work. So what I've kind of come to understand is that this book is a way of holding something that doesn't need to be fully explained and to kind of stop worrying about that part, but to leave enough for others to enter it and move through it in their own way, and hopefully share a kind of felt and transcendent experience. And there will be more materiality in this book with kind of gold leafing and perforations where there were in the making. Yeah, that's it. I'm sorry, let's keep sharing.
Thank you so much, Yvette. What to say? I think I believe is a great idea, the separation between the two elements. We discussed several times about it, and I think this idea of a more personal little object, so creating really also a hierarchy between the two books is a great idea. I feel it could be like last time you developed a little system of connecting certain elements with certain images or certain text with certain images. That's what we saw. I have the feeling that with these elements of the two books could be still interesting to have. I don't know if maybe you have still, and I didn't saw them in the PDF, but I feel like this idea of creating this little connection could be still really intriguing. because then if you have that elements with your notes, with your with all the details, and this idea of the more personal notes as well, I think it will look really, it will feel really good.
Yeah,
So
there were some of those little symbols in the book.
you still have,
It's hard to see them, but I think what I realized as well is that those symbols, I was picking them, as glyphs in InDesign, but I'm going to draw them.
Well, I think that if you draw them in connection with this idea of having these material elements like the gold triangle and other like the holes and so on, I think that if you connect those to more handwritten elements, and then here comes my second question, because then if you have those handwritten or hand drawn, I'm not 100% sure that handwritten poems would be nice or not. Maybe it will look too handmade. But at least what I will do with the poems is to give them a little bit more space, because on the way that you have your layout with these 2 pages like this, I have the feeling that you can play a little bit more with the page and the poem. So not sticking only on the right side of the page, but going a little bit everywhere in the page in order to create a little bit more of dynamism and potentially a little bit more, looking like the text is more of an image. A little bit like, I don't know, we saw together prior the book of Jana Hartmann. I think that those elements of playing with the text could be a nice next step. But I really enjoy how it's developing, and it's a really tricky project. And we saw it from the beginning. There are some questions that we had at the beginning that are still hunting you and me today, I feel, and that I don't know how to resolve exactly. But I feel that for what was the process and how you arrived today, again, I said it already several times, but it's one of those books that I want to see and feel. And I want to see how, I don't know, the binding of the small object can connect to the one of the bigger object, so that I have like an energy that makes me, connect the two elements and wants me to really dig into the small one in order to understand more of the material in the main book. So those are a little bit my comments, and thank you so much, really.
Thanks a million. And just to say, like they wouldn't be poems, to be more like kind of an experience, like a personal reflection, I suppose.
Yeah.
That helps, hopefully. But I really like that idea of using the text in a similar way to the image, I think, to make it more dynamic.
Yeah, a little bit more, yeah.
Limited, I think, by just, I wouldn't handwrite them, but I'm just so limited with kind of using design. So I just need help with the material element now. So I'm going to reach out for that help to someone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well done, Yvette. I also wanted to add a quick thing, and I agree regarding the text, and also I was thinking during your presentation about the text, because I really loved how saw it at the beginning when you were presenting, all these fragments of text with the images on it. So then I felt like if that feeling was a little bit lost in the end when I saw the text in the book when on InDesign. So yeah, I think it would be a great upgrade to work on the text and these kind of fragments, and also what all Nicolas commented as well, to really upgrade the book in the end.
Brilliant, thanks, Manu.
Thank you. And now we have Justina Leston.
Yeah, hi, I'm gonna share. Yes. Do you see all okay?
Yeah, make full screen.
Yes. So first, also, I would like to thank everybody, all participants, Rosa and Nicolas, for your generosity of sharing the process of everyone and feedback, and it was really nice experience in the last months. So my name is Justina Leston. I'm a visual artist from Argentina based in Berlin. The name of the project is Horas Mías, and begins with the discovery of a diary that belonged to my grandmother. So this is the diary, and it's originally from 1945. I want to mention this because this explains a little bit the style, the design of the diary. This is a little bit how it looks, the pages inside. So she started to write that year in the 45, but then all the pages are gone, and then the next page is in October of 2013. And she writes for 3 months, October, November, and December. And this, my mother explained to me, that was suggested by her doctor in order to exercise her memory. At that time, she was already 88 years old, and she was starting to show some signs of Alzheimer's disease. So I found this diary when the house of my grandparents was sold after the death of both of them. And together with the diary, I took with me to Berlin a lot of archive material from many photo albums. My grandfather used to make like lots of photos. He was in charge of documenting every family event, and he photographed a lot of my grandmother doing different things. So with all this material, I started to play a little bit with it. I started to make some collages, paintings, embroidery, inspired by the writings of my grandmother in the diary. And so here, like some examples of the photos, images I was creating. And so this, I was trying to generate like a new narrative, like on top of what the diary itself tells, that is mainly like her daily life, what she was doing, how the weather was, if she was going out to the garden, if someone called her, the visits, if she was having her fingernail done, how much money she had left in her wallet. She was really concerned about the situation of the country following the news. So she also tells about that, if she needs to go to the supermarket, and sometimes memories of her childhood. And so this project is not only like about Alzheimer and the gradually loss of her memory, but it's also about women's domestic life and also the experience of aging. Her life was like quite monotonous, and she expressed that also. Like sometimes she was really bored. And besides that, I also created a series of ceramic objects. So in total, there are 29. And also these objects are inspired from the objects that appear in the archive material, but also things that she mentioned in the diary, or elements that I remember I used to see in her house. And together with this, I developed a glossary of 29 words. So for each letter corresponds a word, and there's a definition that I wrote. And for that corresponds a ceramic. So this is more or less how the layout would look like in the book. So it would be the letter with the word and the definition, together with the ceramic. I asked my mother to make these letters because she has a very similar handwriting from my grandmother. And these are like few examples of how this could look like. And then also like something I forgot to mention at the beginning, but something I found very interesting in the book, like in every uneven page of the diary appears a quote from different men. So I also was a very curious thing that like a diary that is supposed or to be written by women in majority, also at that time in the 45, but all the quotes that appear there are from these important men, and this also contrasts a lot with the content of the diary that was just like ordinary everyday life. And so I wanted to also to do something with it, but I didn't know how. So in the end, I I end up having something like this. Like I decided to include the portraits of the authors of the quotes in order to contrast with the archive material that mainly are photos of women, of my grandmother, and having like these big statements there. So these are a few examples also, and this is a little bit about the process, working on the wall sometimes, working in the middle, and then first trials that I started to play a little bit and combine everything, because in the beginning, in my mind, I have like everything very separate, like the archive, the collages, then the ceramic with the glossary and this, and then thanks to Nicolas' suggestion, and I started to mix everything a little bit more. And then I found like having something more like this. So sometimes they're like double pages with two images, some full bleed images, then the quotes and the glossary that will break a little bit the sequencing and making also like some contrast and giving a little bit more of context or information with the glossary, for example. And then having these little inserts of color papers that there will be the entries of the diary. And I decided this color coding for differentiate demands. So for October would be pink, November blue, and then December yellow. And these are few of the pages. I don't have the final sequencing yet. It's almost there. And then since I want to have the book in Spanish, I decided to have all the text translated in the very end. And then for the cover, I imagined something like this. I would like to use the logo of the original diary, that is, says Horas Mías, with a clock on top. And I imagine like a hardcover with this logo in silver foil stamping. And then I also was redoing some of the drawings that appear in the margin of the pages of the original diary, and I imagine having like this bird on the back and some more of these drawings maybe as an end paper. And then since the cover is very simple and doesn't have any photos, I thought it would be nice to have like a dust jacket. And for that, I end up doing something like this, reusing like the reframings of the archive photos that at the beginning I was using also at the sequencing, but then I took them out. But then I thought it would be nice to have them back as a dust jacket, and also because I make focus on the hands and what the objects are holding by the hands, because these are also part of the ceramics. So I thought I'd to make a link also there. And this is another idea for cover as a notebook, maybe with a elastic band. And these are the details, more or less. So the size will be 17 by 24. That is also the size of the original diary. I imagine approximately 232 pages. Hardcover with the dust jacket, and for interiors and natural ivory color paper uncoated, 150 grams. And for the ends, for the text, something thinner, maybe with low opacity. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Justina. Thanks a lot.
I thought I was speaking very fast.
I know you have been perfect. So thanks a lot. It's one of those ambitious projects that have so many elements on the equation, and I think that there are certain steps that you did that really connected the different elements. I really like, for example, and this I don't think we discussed it till now, so I'm really glad to see it. this idea of the coloring or the color paper that can potentially connect with the ceramics as well. There are some elements that you created that I feel connect really well. I really like this idea of the cover being, or the object being, a notebook. It feels quite genuine. It doesn't feel like a forced element, so it feels good. And on top of that, like, I would like that if you do something like this, like the notebook, you still keep the idea of the hardcover, sorry, the dust jacket, because I think that is an interesting plus to it. Maybe on the dust jacket, obviously, you can still put the information and maybe replacing also the drawings and so on, because if you put a dust jacket, it's really rare that people open and check the cover, or just keep the cover and remove the dust jacket. So just that you have those information.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you one thing in relation of the language, because you say that you want it in Spanish, means that the main book will be in Spanish, and then you will have English as a translation in the end.
Yeah, because as the design is now, I don't like how it looks when you have like the two languages in the same page. So,
Mhm.
for example, in the small color papers, like to have the two languages together there. So I thought, yeah, just to have everything in one language, and then at the very end, I don't know how
It's
like
good,
it can be that, and yeah.
no, it feels good, and this opens for me another question that I think it could be, or a solution that I think it could be interesting, because I still feel that the handwriting of the letters of the alphabet, they now feel really spontaneous and really good. I'm wondering if because now it's in Spanish, potentially most of the audience will then read anyway in English in the end of the book, and this is totally fine. That is written with a typeface and so on. But I'm wondering if now those elements that are in the book and in Spanish could be maybe more original, handwritten, maybe also from your mother, or taking really elements from the diary itself. I don't know, it's just a question if, again, for giving it even more of a interconnection between the different elements, and now that you have this element of the Spanish, why not going with that? But outside of that, I really like how everything came together. Like, it's genuine, the color, the flaps as well. I don't know if I didn't really understood here if they are still happening, the flaps. But everything kind of feel good together. And at the beginning, I was really scared that was way too much material, and I believe that now it feels really good together.
Thank you. It was a challenge to put everything together.
But do you still have the flaps?
No,
Ah, voila. Okay.
but they can
Well,
come back. I don't know. No, sorry, Rose.
no worries. No, I was thinking while going through the presentation, I really enjoyed looking at the pictures also with the painting elements, and I was wondering if maybe there can be also a solution to have maybe instead a cover with I don't know, steel screen printed elements, or something that can be different for each copy, let's say, or to think also about a limited edition. I don't know, because I really would like to also have that element, but in a material way, like that I can touch somehow. But yeah, it's just a comment, because it's like if I would like to see more also that part somehow in the in the book, and because when you see these kind of images, it's like to see how you have the materials of the painting on the photo. So I like touching them, and it's a feeling that I would like also to find maybe on the cover somehow. So it's just a reflection. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't, maybe it doesn't work then. But yeah, I wanted also to make you reflect on this.
Yeah, it's a nice idea actually. Yeah, so also I'm still doing more of the pictures. I'm still painting them, and I was also wanted maybe to include like some painting backgrounds and then like, so I'm still working a bit more, but I feel very satisfied with the results so far because I have more like clear view of how this is going. So now I'm more like completing the blank spaces. So I know that, okay, I need this, like I have very clear, like, okay, this is where I have to work, and that's it, but I have like a more clear structure and I know where I'm going, and a lot of things are already decided. So it feels very nice.
Nice. Thank you very much, Christina.
Yeah, thank you.
Well done. Then we have Stefanie Schwiederek.
Hello. All right, let me share. Give me one moment.
Yeah.
Can you see my PowerPoint?
Yeah, it's working.
Awesome. Let me just minimize that. Okay. All right. So, hi everybody. And just to echo others, I wanted to also say thank you to Nicolas and Rosa, PhMuseum, and my amazing cohort for your guidance and this amazing experience. These 8 months have been wonderful, and it's crazy. It's already over. And for this opportunity to be able to share with you my project. I'll see you in the morning. So, so before participating in FOLIO, I already had a bit of a history with this project in the book form. Over the past 3 years, I've created about a handful of book maquettes for this project. And looking back through them while preparing for this presentation and reflecting on my experience of folio, I saw just how inconsistent the image sizes and ratios were, and how ultimately became overwhelming and distracting for the project. And so in revisiting these early attempts, it made me realize just how long I've been living with this project, but also how far it has come now during folio. So I have been photographing myself and my partner on and off throughout our more than decade-long relationship. Initially, the images functioned simply as an archive of our shared life, the mundane moments at home, the quiet gestures, and the way that we occupy space. Over time, though, and through this as this practice evolved, what began as an intimate record slowly evolved into a means for me to question how companionship, tenderness, and power are not only represented in images, but also understood. And through making this work, I also began to examine the hierarchy of the gaze and how historically the camera has been used to define, control, and categorize bodies, especially along gendered lines. And I became interested in how women's and men's bodies have been seen and what it means to participate in or resist these societal conventions. For as long as I can remember, I've felt envy toward the male sex. And for much of my life, I didn't have the language to understand or express my own androgyny. I knew that I didn't fit neatly into this expected version of what a woman should be, but I didn't have the words to describe that feeling. But the act of making a photograph gave me a sense of agency, where I felt I had control over my body. And as I've come to embrace my queer identity as a bisexual, bigender woman, I've become more aware of my own outward gaze, how I look at my partner, at myself, and at the spaces that exist between us. As I've come to understand it, the gaze is a kind of struggle over authority between the subject and the photographer, and ultimately the viewer. Questions I've asked myself, such as who gets to define whom, who is allowed to look, and who is looked at. How does that power dynamic shift when the person behind the camera is also the person in front of it? So through the sequencing of these photographs, I'm mapping out these moments when my partner appears softer and more vulnerable, the moments when I occupy a more ambiguous role, and moments where neither of us fit into a simple gendered script. So the work moves between closeness and distance, between tenderness and tension, and those shifts mirror the ongoing work of understanding ourselves as well as each other, and how the hierarchy of the gaze shapes our understanding of love, of tenderness, insecurity, and fragility. And this is a full overview of the pages for the book. And for me, as this process has evolved over these 8 months, the book form has allowed for these emotional and visual shifts to accumulate slowly. And this is a mock-up of part of the book. So as you probably noticed in previous slides, I've written several pieces of poetic prose that will accompany the photographs. And I have to say, integrating these texts into the visual narrative has been one of the biggest challenges throughout this class, because I want my words to expand the emotional and conceptual space of each photograph, for them to feel supportive and to deepen the reading of the images and not dictate a single kind of reading. And so after revisiting my previous maquettes, one thing that remained consistent was the size, which I do want to keep at 8 by 10 inches and have 120 pages. For the interior, I've decided to go with an 80-pound white uncoated paper, and that uncoated surface, I think, lends the photographs a softness that feels crucial for the reading of the work. And I decided to also stay with a soft cover for the book, paired with an exposed binding and dust jacket that will incorporate a tipped-in image. And this, you'll see here, this is like a test maquette that I was playing with that I made a couple of weeks ago. So for the binding, I'm going to be using a variation of the Smithsonian binding technique. I've also added a fabric tape over the spine, which to me kind of both conceals and reveals. I think that aligns with the work because there's an element of privacy and protection, but also to recognize that intimacy is something constructed and maintained. And then for me, the dust jacket is made from a velvet material, and that material for me felt really reminiscent of skin and bed sheets, kind of. It's soft, it's vulnerable, it's very tactile, it invites the sense of touch, which to me is an extension of the physical closeness and bodily presence that can be found in the photographs. And this is just another example of a cover with a black dust jacket. And that's it. Thank you. I'm going to stop sharing.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. It's great to see where the project is. I completely forgot that you had already some book done me prior. I don't even remember if you showed it or not.
I did, and I was slightly embarrassed.
Okay. But it find exciting that you pointed certain elements where I also feel that the project grow. Not only the size and the different sizing of the images, but also the quality of the images. I think you have more various elements You had also to have hard decision during the process because you killed, for example, all your experimentation. And you created way more still life. Also today, I think I discovered new images that I didn't saw before. It feels really genuine. It feels like everything comes together really smoothly. Also the poems, they find their place into the layout. It looks really as a book that is well thought. Every image feels like there is a space. It feels like you created images because you know that you had other images in the layout. So everything kinds of feel connected. And because you are speaking of a simple space or a domestic space, in such a there is such a fragility inside the way you are treating the images that connect really well with the fragility you find in the images. So I'm really I'm really happy also that you took decisions that are a little bit more uncommon for such a book, because you will expect a hardcover with textile. I think that there is something more modern in the way you want to approach it, and it feels right. So I'm happy to, again, as every book, to be honest, looking forward to see it in Bologna, and yeah, also to read more in detail the elements, because yes, I was reading at one point at the beginning, but I want to see also exactly which part of the poems are you keeping, and yeah, I want to see all these different elements. So thank you.
Thank you.
Steph, I just want to add that I think that the risk with this kind of images and book, you can risk um, to develop a more classical book. But what I see is, I mean, the result, with the result you reached a certain elegance. And it works very well with the project itself and the delicacy that the delicate topic that you are developing also. And I think, yeah, I mean, well done. I really like, I really enjoy the final result, and I think you did a big step since the first dummy that you created.
Thank you. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you too. Well, now we have Vivian Poey.
Hi, thank you. Let me go ahead and share. Can you see okay?
Yep. You want to try to put full screen?
Yes. Okay, you can see the notes or no?
We see the notes on the side.
Okay.
Let's try as we did before.
Sorry, I know. we didn't-
Otherwise, it's fine with the PowerPoint.
Okay, just go to. Oops, I'm sorry. All right. It's still there, right?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. We even tried this before.
Yeah, but no worries, Vivian. You can keep like the beginning, so we still can see it bigger.
Okay, there.
Wonderful. Yes.
Perfect.
Perfect. Sorry about that. All right. So I'm Vivian Poey, and my book is Un pedacito de mar, a little piece of the sea, and it follows my matrilineal history for migration within the larger context of migration by sea in the Caribbean. It's not advancing. I want to just start with this little blurb that contextualizes the book. At the beginning, during a trip to Cuba in 2016 to visit family, I noticed that almost anywhere I went in Havana, I could see at least a little bit of the sea. Knowing that the majority of deaths during migration happen at sea, I thought of the steady stream of Cubans and Haitians that risk everything to get to the other side. The book has many layers, and the materiality of it has been really a process of experimentation. There's family images from the family archive, always with the ocean in the background, thinking about that in an island, and the ocean is this ever-present border. There's also passport photos, which I have printed full bleed on the pages, sort of making those larger, thinking about identities and about passports that are a privilege, but also instruments of surveillance and control. There's also archival images from news sources and university archives about various boat lifts and documenting journeys of people by sea. And there's also some video stills. So there's many layers. It's been really a challenge to incorporate all of those, as well as to just work with the physical elements of the book. I played with different sizes. I ended up with 8x9, which allowed me to work in the square. Like some of the passport photos are square, but I wanted them to be a full bleed. So a very vertical format wouldn't have worked. The other element that I struggled with a little bit is, in the original work, the windows were made with tracing paper, but that was a little too transparent for the book once I put it together. So I started working with vellum instead. The other thing is the windows used to be all over the place, like in different areas of the image. But for the book, in part just to be practical, but then I really like the idea of the window being always in the same place and then the images moving around to find that space. I like the symmetry of it, and also that it almost feels like there's like one window going through the full book. I was inspired by this book called The Rebellion in Another Mexico. So I want to do an open spine and include maybe right here the text that I just read at the beginning, just sort of setting the stage for the book. I've been struggling with where to set that text because, Nicolas mentioned at some point the text broke up the flow of images, and now I can't unsee that. Every time I see text with the images, it feels like it really gets in the way. This would be the front page. And this is a very first draft of the book. It's not bound yet, but these are the signatures. So this would be, the binding, and then with a chocolate cover, like a dark chocolate brown kind of cover. Right now, I don't have anything in the front. I just have it simple, only with the text maybe right here. And so here's the book, Un pedacito de mar, a little piece of the sea. Oops, sorry, going backwards. Those are the video stills. And this is, again, just the one page that has text that also establishes sort of the context of the book. My daughter's grandparents are exiles from Cuba on the one side and Haiti on the other. On both sides, the ocean has been a daunting border that separates those who left from those who stayed behind. That's my daughter and her cousin in Cuba. So it traces my mother's line. So this is from my grandmother, 1930s Cuba. Then my mother, this is 1936 in Cuba. And I've used the vellum to cover the personal photographs also as a way to give the personal archive a little more privacy in a way. So the pages are attached on both sides with double-sided acid-free tape. So you can't see it. You can only see it on images that are darker, and you'll see as we move forward. It's my mother's passport from 1958. Migration papers. The image on the left is from the Duke University archives, and it's from the Camarioca boat lift in 1965, when in just 2 months, about 3,000 Cubans left the island. That's me in Mexico in 1970. And this is from my foreign card establishing me as a citizen, American citizen born abroad in Mexico. Again, my mother. The picture of the left is during the Mariel boat lift, when about 125,000 Cubans left Cuba. This is in Key West, where they were being received. This is from a boat that capsized coming from Haiti, and Haitian treatment was very different. So Haitians were sent back as Cubans were left, were allowed to stay. And my daughter in 2007, this is her passport photograph as a baby. On the left is just a boat that arrived from Cuba that's in, sorry, I can't see my notes, but this is in 2023. And on the right is a window from my cousin's home in Havana. Again, everywhere you were, you could see a little piece of the sea. On the right is a Haitian boat burning, and it is from 2025, October 2025. On the left, my daughter's passport photograph. And then I have added another section which didn't exist before, but about reverse migration. Right now, a lot of Venezuelans a lot of people who can't get into the United States or just don't see a path forward in the United States are going back after risking their lives to get here. And many of them, instead of going through the jungle, they can no longer go through the jungle in Panama. So they're going around by sea from Panama to either Colombia or Venezuela. So I've been following also a few, the news. So these are archival images from the news as well. But these are all current. These are from 2025, 2026. And that's the end of the book. But there's a couple things that are really unresolved. So obviously, like, you don't know what those images are when you look through the book. So those citations will be at the end. I have played with different ways of putting this in the book, in making little booklets, and I haven't sorted that out. But there's also quotes from the newspapers from various people who are traveling. There's also some excerpts of poetry about the sea from poets from Haiti and Cuba. There's a bunch of data, and there's also a bibliography and all of the works cited. Right now, I had been thinking of maybe creating a little booklet that is just like half an inch smaller than the rest, that would go in between the two sections, between the normal and then the reverse migration. And then lastly, I had these boats. So I wanted to integrate other people's stories into the book. And I have been doing workshops where I invite participants to share their stories and then make a paper boat. And I was working on smaller booklets that were about half the size of the page, but no matter how small or how I put them in, they just really break the whole flow of the book. So so I haven't figured that out, and I'm not even sure if I'm going to put them in. I would really like to include other people's stories, but right now I haven't found a way that doesn't really mess up the whole the whole sense of the book. And that's it for me. Let me stop and share.
Thanks a lot, Vivian. Thank you for your presentation, and thanks also for the work you have done. I still remember a little bit your first experimentation with the book and seeing how it developed and it clarified. Makes me really happy. It feels really that you placed a lot of energy and resources in doing this book. So you can see it, and I agree with you. There are some points that are still can be worked. I think that reverse migration is such an interesting chapter that also can develop as a story a little bit more. But this could be done in a second moment. And I agree that by creating even more a distinction or separating them or making clear that are like it's the same things but in reverse somehow, something can come in between. By listening and by looking at everything, I don't think that those more, I will say it more administrative page should go in between the two. I will keep them maybe for the end, at least that you want the book also to open from the end and do the reverse migration as a beginning. I don't know. In that case, it will not work. But in between, I still like a lot all these stories, the boats and so on. I truly believe that is interesting to use them. But maybe is just a chapter of maybe some are more important and some becomes more like thumbnails or smaller into layout. But maybe they can come exactly there in between the project and the reverse migration. Maybe as a different paper or something like this to distinguish them, but they can come at that moment and then maybe seeing somewhere else all the notes and all the other elements. But thank you so much for sharing, and yes, I'm really happy of the result.
Thank you. I mean, I feel like it's still a very beginning. I feel like I'm back at the beginning, incredibly.
But from a completely different point of view, and this is like yes, the project can develop, but is not. There are several examples like this. Those projects that works with with a lot of text, with data, they have to be explained. It's completely different than a narrative book. They are extremely complex to produce, and already having the knowledge that I don't believe that you are at the beginning, because the entire process from 8 months ago to now we can see it in the book. But yes, it can be still developed, that for sure. And I think that there is an element into research and understanding of the topic per se that they can be integrated into the work for sure. Say that I feel that what you had as a starting point of like your images, your visuals, and so on, and how you interconnect them together. This you have done a great job for that, I feel.
Thank you.
Vivian, if I can add something, of course, you are not at the beginning. I mean, you worked a lot in the last months. So I'm happy also to see what stage you are now. And while I was going through the presentation, I was imagining your book more as an artist book, because I would like to see all what you did. I mean, I still want to have this feeling. So I had this sensation of I don't know. I like if I need to have in my hands something that is fragile, like the story that you're telling and of the topic itself. So I don't know if it can help to go further with developing your project further. But yeah, totally. I was visualizing your book in such a way and. That makes it also more precious somehow. So yeah, this is what was my insight during while watching what you were presenting.
Thank you. Yes, I considered at first, and we talked about it, not having the tracing paper be like physical, but it seems so important that it's physical, and that's also why I made the window only in one place, because at least it makes it more likely that it can, that it can just be developed, in higher numbers. So yeah, thank you, Rosa. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Vivian. But I'm sure you will find the right path now that you have all the elements with you.
Well, I have the summer to work on it now, so that's really great.
Well, that's good. Thank you again, Vivian. Now we have a duo composed of Manu Gruber and Tim Gassauer. I know that Manu is gonna speak and Tim is gonna share the screen, right?
Yes, thank you, Rosa. Yes, hi everyone. We are Tim Gassauer and Manu Gruber, and the project we developed as part of this FOLIO masterclass, which we are presenting today, is called Primavera, and we are very looking forward to sharing it with you. A bit about our background. Tim and I studied together in Berlin, where we are both still based as photographers. And after graduating in 2024, we decided to continue working together as an artistic duo. With Primavera, we are responding to the political climate we are all living in right now. And like many people, we find ourselves constantly confronted with what's happening around us. And the more closely you pay attention, the more you start to notice unsettling parallels to the past, which feels especially relevant here in Europe and even more so in countries like Germany and Italy, where history still feels very present. So the project grew out of that awareness, and we are interested in the idea that forms of fascism don't simply belong to the past, but can reappear often in more subtle or adapted ways. And for us, this raises the question of whether history is repeating itself or whether these structures have, in some sense, never fully disappeared. So with that in mind, we came across the history of the partisan Republic of Ossola, a short-lived liberated zone in northern Italy near the Swiss border, which existed for around 40 days in the autumn of 1944 during World War II. And at the time, it was controlled by anti-fascist resistance groups. And so for a brief moment, it actually functioned as an independent, self-organized territory. And we felt it provided a powerful starting point for our project, because it represents a moment where alternative democratic structures were briefly tested under extreme conditions. And although it only existed for a very short time, for us it remains a very present reference point for the questions we are dealing with today. On the next slide, you can see the lyrics of Fischia il Vento, which was, after Bella Ciao, one of the most well-known Italian partisan songs. And this song is basically about the idea of a red spring that has to be fought for. And for us both, the song and this particular line became an important reference when we developed the title Primavera, because they opened up this idea of spring as something political, as a moment of change and tension, where different futures are still possible, and which also reflects how we see the present moment. And like in nature, spring always holds both sides at once, things beginning to grow, but also things can shift in unpredictable ways. So for this project, we traveled several times to the Ossola Valley, and one really important partner for us was the Casa della Resistenza in Verbania, which is a memorial site with a large archive of images and documents related to the history of the resistance. And they very generously gave us access to all of that material. So a lot of what we found there actually became part of our artistic process, and Tim will talk a bit more about that in a moment. And yes, at the same time, we also had the chance to speak with witnesses and even former partisans, which was greatly appreciated. And we spent a lot of time in the mountains, kind of moving through the landscape that these stories are connected to. So one of the main questions we brought into the masterclass was how to bring all these different materials and time layers together, how to connect the past and the present within one coherent work. So with that, I'll hand over to Tim, who will walk you through the dummy we've been developing as part of the masterclass in the last months.
Thank you. Yeah, what you are seeing right now is a digital mock-up of our dummy. If you want to see the printed version, you should all come to Bologna. This book is, as it stands now, an 18 by 24 centimeter large soft cover, which was designed by our befriended designer Marlene Kaufmann, who we also wanted to thank on this occasion. What you see, I have to. Right. What you see now is a kind of an overview of the beginning of the book. It's the first 60 pages in total. As it stands now, we have about 160 pages, so it will be a lot bigger, but this is the part that I will be showing here, or we will be showing you. I will now just go through those pages and talk a bit more about our decisions that we made. So as you can see, we decided to almost have no space from the borders of the images to the borders of the book. So we decided to make them full bleed in the sense of one page. And also you will notice that there's for the space that normally would be white, there's no white space. We want to have the normally white space printed in black. So as I also said, this is a digital version. We will have to figure it out in like an analog in real life, how we can print something like this. But yeah, we decided against the white space because we felt like this this black surrounding our images delivered some kind of more concentrated mood around this history, and it also, of course, delivers this obvious darkness that also is very present in dealing with those questions that Manu mentioned. And we started this project with like very different sorts of material, and the question was always how would we combine them together. And in our dummy, we finally decided that we should mix everything together basically, and to not really point out the differences in the materials that we had. Just to name the different sources of images or visuals that we have one more time, we have like we looked a lot in the landscapes of the Ossola Valley and the architecture of the Ossola Valley, and we also had those archival images that Manu spoke about that we found while researching in the archive of the Casa de la Resistencia. And then we have those night wildlife images. So we set up a wildlife camera in the region, and we took several images of animals at night there, which is basically a reference to the way also the partisans had to hide in a way. And another category of images is the portraits of younger people now living in the area, which for us stands for this connection from this past to the very present that we are living and facing right now. And what you also, I'm sure, noticed it is that we have those texts. I'm not sure if you have the concentration to read them while I'm talking. So I advise you to maybe see them later. But the text that we used here, those are basically fragments of things that former partisans wrote down. So we had the chance with the archive to revisit diaries, journals, and also other forms of writings, of remembering the actions, but also being in the action, fighting as the as partisans, and then remembering what happened, writing it down pretty much in the moment. We had the chance to get access to those writings, and we decided to take parts of them and put them together in a new way. So we decided to take out only fragments of them and give them a new order, a new structure. And this is what you can see here as a text, and what is also present throughout the book. And the book, as we imagine it right now, is ending with the text, which will be the only text that really kind of explains something, because now we see that there's the need for the reader, or we feel like there's a need for the reader also to get informed on all those things that we researched on regarding this Republic of Ossola. So in the end, there will be this text that kind of gives context to the history. Maybe you also noticed that we basically just used two fonts or two font categories. This is also, of course, a work that we made together with our designer, and we spoke a lot about it because in the beginning, we wanted to have a connection in the decision of the fonts to the documents we found in our research, which were, for example, newspapers, as you can see on the left, but also kind of leaflets, political leaflets and flyers that we found made by the partisans, but also made by fascists. And we wanted to connect our font decisions to those writings we found. So we decided for those two fonts, more condensed font, which is Cairoli, and the Cornell, which is a revisited Antigua by Giulia Zanarella, if I pronounce it right. Yeah, she's a font designer and yeah, accepted to work with us together in this project. So yeah, this would be the last slide. This is the final look on the cover. As I said, it's a soft cover as we imagine it. We will use matte paper, so there will be no there will be kind of the idea to have it a little bit more rough and also yeah, a little less fine art, classic, well produced, but more, yeah, more rough in a way. And for the binding, we are now thinking about a simple thread binding. And I guess that's it. I guess that's it. As everyone before us already said, we just wanted to give a huge thanks to the PhMuseum, to Rosa for organizing all of this, working like maybe kind of behind the scenes all the way, but really present for us. And then, of course, huge thanks to Nicolas for giving us this advice and being there and like being present in the progress. And also thank you just to the group. It's so fun to see all of your projects evolving, growing, changing, even though there sometimes might be the feeling that something just took a step backwards, but I'm sure that there's a huge progress being made in all of your projects, and I'm just really happy, or we are just really happy to see all of this happening. And yeah, I guess that's it. Manu, did I miss something? Do you want to say something?
No, I just also wanted to thank Rosa and Nico and the group. It was, yeah, it wasn't always easy, but it pushed us, and I'm very grateful for how far we have come. And with the, yeah, it's still work in progress, but yeah, couldn't have made it without the masterclass. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Manu and team. Thanks a lot. I mean, I'm repeating myself every time I speak about your work. I really enjoy how like the topic is so important, and I think it's great to have two photographer and young people like you working on a project like this. I feel your photographic work is great. I will continue to say it. But at the same time, I will continue to say that for me, I'm still missing completely the voice of this young generation. Like you, Manu, always start your presentation by saying that you interviewed people, you discuss with people, and so on. And in the book, is never happening. And for me, that's such a shame because you are discussing about the past, and you say, yes, this past shouldn't come back. Like there is this fear that it comes back, but this doesn't connect so much with the reality of what is today. So I feel that that's, for me, still a little something that will make the book insane. It will make the book great. It will make the book amazing, just that it's not just a flashback of what was World War II, but really that we discover what is the fear of young people today.
Yeah.
But here,
Yeah.
what are the patterns and this, I think that is something we discussed from the beginning. And this obviously is my point of view, so you don't have to follow necessarily what everything I say, obviously, but this is something that I feel created like a discussion since the beginning, and I would truly like to understand what this will make to the book, because I really like how the material comes together, the photographic material, the idea of being rough, like the design you created and developed with your designer works really well. Also, separating this word prima and vera, separate like in two lines, works really well. Every choice is working, but I feel that there is this element into the content and into a more contemporary vision that is still missing, and that those words connect with what you did now in creating the tension by showing part of the archive, by seeing what the partisans said and so on. I would really like that it connects more with the contemporaneity. That's the only things that for me it's really I'm gonna sorry but it's,
No, sorry. Thank you, Nico. As a matter of fact, next week we are back in the Ursula Valley. We are trying to find that missing link.
yeah, and I think because you are just really, I don't say it just to say something positive, but I truly believe you are great photographers, and you feel there is the feeling that you know that you try that you want to do a great project. The feeling is there. I just that part that is not photographic, but is not visual, but is something else. In a book like this is missing, and I think that afterwards, when you will find that elements and connect it to every elements that you have already, that will be really good.
Gonna try. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to add something quickly. I agree with Nicolas' reflection, because for what I see, the book goes straight to the point, and what is the story and what is the topic in general. But it's true that it would be great to see also your real point of view, because if you have this urgency to talk about this and to show this story to people, to viewers, and to bring back this story to alive, it would be nice to see also your real point of view. I mean, to see more you into this to make everything complete. So I totally agree with Nico about this.
Thank you, Rosa.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Now we have Federica Carducci.
Hi everyone. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Yeah, no, yes.
But it's not. Yes, full screen.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, yes.
Okay, it's just a bit slowly. Maybe I'm not a good connection. First, I wanna thank Nico and Rosa for their great work to bring the masterclass to the end, and all my classmates, because we make it. We made this 8 months together, and it was beautiful. I introduce myself. I'm Federica, photographer from Italy, and I work across photography and video, focusing on relationship, intimacy, and everyday life. For me, photography is a way of discover myself and the world, and the images is how I talk and relate with the others. And that's why in my practice, I usually let the subject participate somehow in the process of making. So photography begin a shared experience. And this approach is also an ethical choice because I don't want to be a distant observer. I participate and I feel responsible for the story I tell. The project I developed during the FOLIO Masterclass is yet still rebirth in the ordinary ache of waking, and is an ongoing documentary project started in 2022 that explore how war reshape everyday life beyond the front line. And is grounded in my relationship with Irina, my Kuma. I became godmother of her second daughter, establishing a bond rooted in Ukrainian tradition, based on trust, care, and shared responsibilities. Working from within this relationship, the project follow Irina's life. During her experience of war forced Irina to leave her home and her husband that took military service, and she gave birth alone in Italy. This introduced in her life feeling of uncertainty and isolation, and also mental illness problem because of all this loneliness and isolation. After reuniting her family and returning home to Kiev to rebuild her life, war became visible through destroyed places, the one damaged from her time in Italy, and the destroyed buildings of the present time. Also, war became visible through sleepless night and a high level of stress caused by night air raids attack by Russia. And the heaviest part that war brings into life is that the war left this undeliable mark in her life when 2 years ago her brother, a military doctor, died, and he was at the front line since 2014. So rather than focusing on spectacles, I concentrate on daily gesture and a situation that relate to how life keep insisting on itself and resist. This work is built over 4 years of shared time and mutual trust with Irina and her family, resulting in a wealth of images that I needed to print and start working on the walls to create the sequence of the book. And the series moves between portraits, domestic scene, and landscapes, where interiors and empty spaces guide the view through time and memory. The sequence also moves between black and white images with colors to evoke sensations and suggest emotions. Also, some sentences, short sentences, will accompany the narration to mark the passage of time, and they will be in both in Ukrainian language, English, and Italian, because it's how we communicate, mainly in English, but we are both trying to learn each other mother languages. Also, there will be fold-out pages and blanket pages that will set the piece, interrupting or accelerating the reading of the book, like this. Some technicalities. The book is still in process. but I preview that will be quite small to give the feeling of a diary, and it will be 17 by 22 centimeters thickness because of the 400 pages that I preview to sequence. And it will have an hardcover to consolidate the structure of this story. And it will have an exposed spine, as you see, to fully open the pages, as there will be photos full spread, like this. And in this form, the book become not only a container of the photos that I made, but also an object of the memories and an intimate space in which the experience of life is lived again. And this is an overview of the first part of the book. It's the first 200 pages, and it's about the narration of Irina's life in Italy while she is separated from her husband and then give birth to her children. And it's quite long, that's why I didn't put in the presentation. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Federica. I'm honestly looking forward to see the final, the edit and the book in real life. We saw several parts, and we saw, I think the last time, most of the edit you had or all the edit that you had at that time. The material solution that you found is hardcover, but is more brutal things inside, or it is more simple book inside, feels really genuine, feels good. I'm looking forward. I wouldn't have like a hardcover that is too thick. That's the only things I would like that is still also from the outside a little bit modern, I would say, or a little bit, try not soft, but something that is not too hard, not a 3 millimeter, maybe a 2 or something like this, whatever is a detail. And the way you are showing the way you are working on the edit and everything, these little notes that are going to help the viewer, and how you separate the different chapter in a certain way, works really well for me. I'm looking forward to see the final edit and how you solve some situation, but yeah, it feels really good.
Thank you.
I just want to comment one thing. It's a huge book. I mean, you have so many images and pages, and I just wanted to add that you made me really think like if I go through this diary, but then I don't read it all of it in once. You made me feel like with this sensation of like when you read the diary of a person, and I still speak also about the diary itself because you mentioned that you would like to have that format. So you really made me think, feel the sensation of opening diary, going through it for a bit and then close it again. And then another day I go through it again, looking, browsing other parts, other pages. So I think this can be a very good solution with what you have and what the project is. So it's not a project that you have to go through all together at once, but it's good to go little by little through it and reflect also about what's the story and about all the stages of the story itself. So yeah, I just wanted to add this.
Yeah, thank you. It's very it's a long story, and many things happened into life, and sometimes we forget about this. Also, in context of war and difficulties. So for me, is really important to bring together all these instant and memories that make life. for everyone, also in such a moment in the world. Thank you.
Thank you to Federica. Well done. Congrats also to you. Now we have Marge Westreich.
Hi. Just going to share. Okay. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Marge Westreich. I am a photographer originally from the US, but I've been living in Austria for about 20 years. And a few years ago, I moved to a smaller town in Austria, more on the countryside. And when I first moved here, this project started as a way to record my new surroundings because I kind of felt like a tourist in my own home. But over time, the project began to shift because I started to hire actors to stage scenes around my town and have them kind of act as if they were my neighbors. And it took me repeating this same type of image, photographing these actors alone again and again, and people asking me why there was only one person in the frame to realize that I wasn't really documenting a town, but rather projecting my own feelings of loneliness and isolation onto the people I was staging. So the project then kind of turned into a fictional version of the town I live in, where I could navigate these ideas of and my own feelings of isolation and belonging. Before the FOLIO workshop, I had already made a book dummy, but I knew I wanted to kind of push this idea further to see how far I could go. And during the workshop, I started thinking a lot about how to introduce more ambiguity into the work and how to make the viewer question what they're looking at, and bringing into this aspect of performance of staging as well. And I spent a lot of time the first few months of FOLIO just thinking about what I wanted the viewer to experience as they were looking through the book. And it was cool because after a lot of thinking, I kind of got really inspired to just make a lot of new photos, and because I kind of realized what photos the book was still missing. And so I began, the types of photos I made were, I started printing landscapes I had taken onto fabric on backdrop, experimenting with them as backdrops, almost like a stage set. And I also started making portraits of actors more on plain white backgrounds to resemble audition headshots, as if they were kind of trying out to become a part of this town. And at the same time, I was also reading a lot of plays, which introduced my writing of short scripts of actual scenes from my own life and presenting them as if they were screenplays for a movie. And the book moves between these different types of photos, from staged scenes, fragments of text, and candid snapshots to play with different layers and ways of creating the sense that something maybe is slightly off. The title is Vor Ort, which has a couple meanings in German. It means location, but it's also the term for a suburb. And literally, when you separate the words, it translates to in front of a place. And I was drawn to that idea of this always being outside, and like also feeling myself like I'm on the outside, not fully belonging to this small community yet. And at the same time, I thought the word was very neutral and almost generic, which kind of allows the viewer to project their own idea of a small town onto it. I wanted to reflect this in the typography as well, and I used the typeface Tern, which is actually the standard road signage in font in Austria. And I wanted to reference the entry signs that mark towns. And for the screenplays, I chose Courier, which is traditionally also used in screenwriting to reinforce the idea that what we're seeing could be a script for a movie or a theater production. For the cover, I wanted to play with the idea of using one of my images printed on fabric to give the viewer a sense that maybe not all is as it seems, with the small wrinkle in the fabric at the top, which you notice only when you look a little bit closer. I have two versions of the cover, one with the entire photo and one with the photo wrapped around the book. I want the cover, I want it to be a soft cover. And right now it's between 72 and 84 pages. I've taken so many new photos that I'm still experimenting with the pacing a little bit. So it might be a little bit more. But I was thinking of printing the photos on Gardner Ultra, but then also using a thinner lightweight paper tipped in for the screenplays throughout the book. These are some more pages of the layout. And I didn't want to give away too much. I was playing with the balance of how much I should show is staged and not. So I only included very subtle wrinkles in the fabric, and it's only at the very end after the thank you where I show that it's really the entire backdrop clipped into the stage to kind of give away more. This is an overview of all the pages I currently have. And ultimately, I'm really excited, just like how much the book has evolved over just even the past few months. And that's thanks to my advisor, Nicolas Polli, for inspiring me and giving me the confidence to push the idea even further, as well as my fellow classmates for meeting up outside of scheduled meeting times to give advice, and to Rosa for all the amazing organization throughout the program. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Marge. Yeah, I'm looking at the book at the beginning and now. Not really the form of the book. I think the form of the book was already solid at the beginning, but I think you really developed the story. And this is it made it. I mean, in my point of view, made the project really interesting. I would like now to dig into more into the script writing and understand exactly what the story are. I mean, I read it a little bit. And I'm looking forward to see these many more images that you are speaking about, what they will create into the story. I feel that it's gonna be an amazing book. I really believe it. I don't really have a lot to say actually. I think that what I had to say, I said it already, and I feel that yeah, I want to see it. That's it.
Thank you.
I only want to add that I really liked how you cropped the images of the fabric, and I think the detail of still showing, but not in such a declared way, the folding. I mean, when the fabric is a little bit folded, works very well, because when you go through the books, you reach this moment when the viewer, I think, could get disorientated a little bit, and then you go through it again, and then you have the solution at the end. So yeah, I really enjoyed that the detail that you thought. So well done.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Nico helped me a lot. At first I wanted to give away like everything and show everything, and it was hard to find that balance, but thank you for all the advice.
And that's something, I mean, I probably didn't saw those images yet, but I think that using those background, this fake background also for scenery, with portrait and so on, that's a little bit the step that I'm looking forward as well into the entirety of the story. Like really having this, as Rosa said, having this moment where you don't know what you're looking at, and almost like this idea that yes, I mean, a lot of people say Switzerland is it doesn't exist. It's just fake. But this plays a little bit in the same direction with these small villages in Austria, and this idea that everything could be just a big Truman Show or something like this. It's just really interesting. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marge. And now, last but not least, Raul Guillermo.
Raul, we don't hear you, if you're trying to speak.
Yeah, first I need to find out how to share this. Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. I don't know why I cannot make it big. It was working before. Now it's not. Of course, when it's the time to present, this is happening. How can I
No
do it?
worries, we found a solution now.
Yeah. Well, let's because I don't see the button to make it bigger, but okay.
Maybe it's down because we don't see the bottom of everything. No, down like in the window.
The window.
No.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
I don't.
Yes. I'm gonna do it differently. Sorry. I'm gonna share the whole screen and then make it bigger like this.
Yeah,
Good.
fine.
Yes,
Yeah.
amazing. So of course, I wanted to start saying thank you to the people who made this possible. I wanted to also to say thank you to the people who assisted to this folio. I know due to time difference, communication sometimes was a bit hard, but I think at the end, yeah, I mean, we made the effort, right? And also life work, everything. Okay, so the project I want to present today, it's called An Inherent Year, Una lágrima inherente in Spanish. I first came, interested on this because I was struck by the contrast that I was portraying in TV, especially Peruvian TV, and how this, it was not really, actually real. So it was kind of uncomfortable feeling to see this. Then digging a bit more, I started to dig a bit who was talking about the subject, and I found two actually sociologists. One was Norma Fuller, and the other one is Pierre Bourdieu. Those two were the key to actually finding a framework for this, because at the beginning I didn't know actually the topic I was interested was masculinity. And for the work methodology, I think distance was a tool. I tend to print my pictures on the darkroom, And of course, I don't know if I said at the beginning, but I'm based in Paris and I was doing this project in Peru. So having this distance of and time to actually reflect about my pictures and, just to like returning with intention allowed me to have analyze better the pictures I was trying to make. So for the work methodology, this is mostly a documentary and also a personal work. Why? Because I'm actually part of the Peruvian society, and this gives me an inside perspective and a specific emotional connection to the subject. However, living abroad, I think it has given me this distance as well, and this tension of belonging and at the same time not belonging. I wanted to also mention that for me, this is mostly like mirror images, the exterior is not really important. For me, it's what actually the viewer is watching, just like to cite John Sarkowski on his mirror and windows essay he did. So color as identity, I think I have always been drawn to color. My images are very color oriented, and I wanted to actually have an object that deliberately, it was in purpose. So it's not, I wanted to create a contrast that made it clear, color is not just an aesthetic choice in this project, it's also part of the message. And I was also experimenting with black and white photography that was completely new for me. This is just a mind gap on the references, bibliography, photographers, etc. that I was recollecting to start this project. And also at this point, I realized that I wanted to create some intimacy. So I decided to add family archives. So the pairing and sequence, as usual. And then I went to create a physical tool, a mockup that allowed me to start playing with what I wanted to create, as I said, about the color as an identity as well. So this allowed me to start putting images together, of course, and to see how color was affecting, the sequence I choose, just to make it clear that there's no a chronological order or a historical order or a specific narrative for this book. It's mostly 4 years of work put it together, and of course with symbolism, pictures that for me are symbolic to the subject I was treating. And as a structure for the book, I decided to use the archives, I'm gonna use the archives, but they're not gonna be printed immediately. They're gonna be printed after, and then I'm gonna paste them on the colorful pages. This just to have a rule for the book, and that I actually put it to myself. And yes, as I was saying, this allowed me to see to make some changes. Why not, to take a risk? I think this is the first time I was seeing my work like this, and I don't want it to be heavy to process. I wanted to have this fresh and surprise element to the viewer. Yeah. And yeah. So for the book cover, I went for this. This is a soft cover of 3 millimeters. I decided to put the title in English on the edge, and then on the back to have it in Spanish. To be honest, for the title, I decided at the end. That was the most difficult part for me to choose a title that could, talk and describe what I was feeling, during this period. Because, as I said, it was also a personal experience. doing these images. This is the book layout. You can see it's very colorful, and this is what I was saying when you will see one image, like color there and then passing, because doing the booklets, it allowed me to actually have this, the physical object, and to see how it was, how I could play with this. These are the book insights. I will print it in 130 grams. There are already 132 pages, 58 images, four photo archives, 2 texts, and 1 poster. And these are just some mockups of images, and yeah. Yeah. And for the poster, this is a decision I took at the end. I'm gonna try to put it not part of the book, but just to fold it. This came directly as a recommendation from Nico, someone that doesn't know too much about Peru, and especially wants to know a bit more about this niche kind of topic. I'm gonna create this kind of guide with text, to have more information. And on the left, you can see there's a historical reference, both personal. I mean, personal, because at school they kind of oblige you to buy these, things to paste it on your notebook. And yes, I don't know. I don't have more. Thank you. Oh, sorry.
Thanks a lot, Raul. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for your work, and I'm really happy to see how the different images, the different elements come together. I really, I really also want to see how this idea of the poster or the guide, somehow, as you said, will come into the final book. I still hope for you somehow that you could have this person from Peru writing for you. That will be amazing, and it will make so much sense to discover all the different folklore related to masculinity somehow, and how masculinity can be bent also by cultural elements. And I think that this will give such a different tone to the entirety of the project. Not different, but really more deep, I would say. So on the other side, the book is your imaginary is great. I love your photographic work and the style of your images. Yes, that's it. I don't have so much to say. I will say it one last time, because I didn't say to everyone, but the idea is that I want to say it for everyone, that I really looking forward to see them in a physical way. I think that we spoke so much about materiality over this last month, that again I'm really feeling that you took, all of you, not you, only you, Raul, took really care of what material should be used for this and that. I really like for you, Raul, here, how you are creating those dummy to understand where the pages can go with this red. I still feel that could be interesting to print on red, just as an experiment, but this is up to you. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, sorry, Raul, go, please.
No, just saying thank you. That's it.
No, I just wanted to say that I'm happy to see how the book got shape, and I really enjoy the idea of the poster and all together. I mean, this kind of red I mean, I see that all the choices are not random, and everything is well thought. And yeah, I really enjoyed the results of this month. So yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Cool. So now we reached the end, and I'm very, very proud of everything, all the participants here, and I would like to remind everyone that all the dummies that you saw today, and a couple more that didn't present today, will be part of an exhibition during Photobook-Mania, which is our photo book fair happening in Bologna, in Italy, in October, alongside with the next edition of our festival, PhMuseum Days. So you will see also, you will have the opportunity to see in real life, with their physicality, with the objects themselves. So to see how these researches reached the real shape of a book. And as well, there will be also a guide tour with the participants, so you will know also the participant themselves. And I'm really happy to see all the results today. And, I mean, they worked, you guys, you worked hard in the last 8 months. And I really hope that it was a very good experience for everyone, but all the feedbacks that came today were super positive. So yeah, I also remind for those that are watching that the application for the next edition are still open. Today is gonna be the deadline for the scholarship and the early bird deadline as well. And then on the 28th of May, we will have the deadline, the official deadline for the application to the scholarship, to the masterclass. So yeah, I don't know if you wanna add anything else. No. Okay. So just clapping to everyone and all their work. And thank you, thank you very much for being with us today. And we wait for you next Thursday with another year-end presentation. And next Thursday we will have the participant from Media Masterclass on transmedia storytelling. So thank you again, and have a lovely rest of the day. Bye. And streaming is done. Is done.